Welcome to my creative haven. I'm Kathleen Maurer from Be Again Books, and I'm here a second time to give you a little studio tour. I'm participating with Kara Brandon in the Declutter Organize 2025 collaboration. This studio is more than just a functional space for me. This is where I come to express the creativity that I feel and where I bring my junk journal ideas to life. Seeing my supplies in front of me just sparks my creativity and helps keep the energy flowing. My hope is that you can create a space that energizes you also, that it can be both functional and beautiful, whether it's just a corner of your dining room table or a whole room like I have. I hope that you'll be able to create a space that makes you feel like an artist. As we step into the studio, the first stop is this large 5-drawer file cabinet. The top drawers hold the loose papers that form the signatures in my journals. I think that file cabinets are the best way to store these kinds of flat papers. You know, they were designed to hold papers, and they've been doing their job really well for quite a long time now. The very bottom drawer holds the gutted book covers for journals. Everything in my studio is stored based on the job that it does. This is my cascade of ribbons organized openly. All I have to do is step over from my desk and clip a bit off. This is my open storage for all the chains and beads and particularly steampunk charms that I like to make. This is where I store those long pieced kind of extended paper snippets or clusters, that I showed in my video before. And then here on the top is where I store all of my beads. Beads that remind me of steampunk, beads that are vintage, and beads that would be considered kind of a bright boho. Those are the three styles of journals that I make the most. When I need beads, I just dump them out and pick the ones I want, scoop them back into the jar and put them back up here. So I've also tried to set a little bit of an aesthetic mood with steampunk kinds of decor. So this little vignette just feels like stepping into a cluttered Victorian parlor, which sparks my imagination just about every time I come in. Behind the file cabinet, I have open storage for some of my die cuts. And here on this kind of steampunk steamer trunk is a box that just keeps my some of the journals that I need to decorate. And then here's just a little Victorian library vignette with my soft sculpture crows. That's an art piece that I picked up at a festival. And below there is a collection of some of the journals that I've made, some that I've traded or swapped, and a couple that I've purchased. These are my current other artistic kinds of things. Watercolor. This is the shelf that holds all of my beaded, like my bling type metal embellishments for steampunk. These are the threads that I use most often. There are other kinds of things, clips, just things to embellish. This is my most reached for item. This holds all of my distress inks, and in these drawers, this is where the applicators are, and then the vintage photo gets its own spot right there. And these are the little tag things that I use. Here are other embellishments, stickers. These are brads. These are paper clips, glitters, and other kinds of bling like sequins. These are the fussy, like flat back pearls and other kinds of things. So the job of this drawer is to hold the stuff that I make charms with. Yeah. So now, as we come around, this is my desk. I made this desk to be a standing desk because that's how I work the best. And I have a couple of rusted metal upright cans that kind of hold that sturdy. I wanted it to look steampunky, and so I've used this kind of Victorian fringe. And this is also very, very tactile to me. I love, as I stand here and create, to just feel that silky fringe and the baubles. I use a tonic glass mat to work on. I find that the easiest to clean up after mixed media stuff. And on the desk, I also have these two organizers. This one is for the staplers, my crocodile. I have my jewelry making tools. These are hole punches. Here's where my glue is up here. Scissors are right here. Other tools. Here's all of my paintbrushes. And this is my little mini me. This is a doll that it plays an important role in my creativity. It's probably too much of a story to go into right now. Here, these are my watercolor brushes stored in this little steampunk can. This was a Spam can that I sprayed and then created this little embellishment. My pencils are behind here. The little mini me keeps her arms full of books. These are the clips that I use when I bind. These are my mixed media palette knives and some clips. There's more binder clips and so on. There's my corner rounder, my rulers back here. These are sticks. I know that 2 years ago, I think I promised to do a video on them, and I haven't yet. I have all of these little trays. These trays just help me keep little things. Like these things over here, I often just have little bits and pieces that I don't know what to do with often at the time. So I just put them in these little saucers, and I like to pull them out and see what might be available to me. So up here is, you can see this is my film stand. It holds the camera for the top-down filming. This is a mood board behind here, and it has some stamps. I think I mentioned before, that's a bristlecone pine because I hiked high enough to collect one of those. And a picture of my daughter when she was young. So these are lights and tools to help me film. This is a steampunky pincushion that I got at a wool festival. It's stuffed with wool, and I like it sitting right there. This is another mood board. In these drawers are the items that I need a lot. This is where I reach to get the baby wipes. These are all surface treatment kinds of things for papers as I'm decorating the signature papers. Some art sponges, steel wool, some wire. This is also more surface art kinds of things. And now my newest addition is a gift to myself, which is this rolling cart. It currently, I haven't decided how to use it yet really. I just got it right before Christmas. It rolls out pretty easily and I can move it wherever I want. Right now it holds all of my binding supplies. So these are the elastics that I use for my closures. It's my needles and all binding threads, and these are the hair ties that I use if I make a hair tie. Horizontal surfaces are pretty valuable in my studio. The cart is small, but I think it has a lot of potential, and I love how it easily moves whenever I need it. And I can pull it out and use it, as I mentioned, for a horizontal surface. In the corner, I have created this little rest area with the chair. It has laces that kind of stay there on the back. I use those often when I need to film or take pictures of finished projects. On the wall nearby is another waterfall, and this time it's lace. It's both functional and beautiful, and it's just so easy to just step over and snip off just what I need for embellishing. Underneath the chair, which I use to just sit and rest, is a stepper, a stair step machine that I try to use as a little bit of exercise during the day. I really enjoy standing to work, but I also often need a place to just rest. Rounding the corner from my resting place is this 9-drawer painted chest. I've painted it to look steampunky, and I have used these kind of rusted patina drawer pulls. Yeah, I'm really proud of that. I've wanted to paint it for a long time, and I'm glad I have it done. So I have all kinds of things in the drawers, just things to help me decorate. Got some wallpaper strips there. I have some tissue paper and some napkins. I've got stickers. I've got labels. Yeah, just different things stored in here, just embellishments. This bottom drawer holds all of my recycled greeting cards. This bottom drawer has all of my kind of punching, cutting kinds of tools. These are all of my envelopes. These are all of my embossing folders. And this is all of my washi tape. Next to the cutting station are these 2 plastic drawer units, and I have spray painted them to match the desk, and these hold all of my punches. Yeah, those are all my punches from my old scrapbooking days. And then coming up is this open wire basket. It's a drawer unit, and it just has all of these different snips and little pieces and junky bits, some fabric, some lace. This is the vegetable bag mesh stuff that I like to use. And I can put it from the top down, or I can just stick it in places. Yeah, I do that more often than not. I just have a little steampunk charm here. This is where I keep all of my buttons in these glass jars. This is a handmade lava lamp. It's just a de-stressor. You know, I can sit down and rest in my chair and just kind of watch these things sink. Turn it upside down. Just kind of nice to just kind of sit down and watch that. And I have new curtains. This is one of my favorite things. Let me see if I can show it without the light. It's a little piece of art. It's supposed to be kind of a phoenix bird, and it's made from one of those devil's claw seed pods. Okay, on top of this shelf is all of my like prima flowers and flower, just all kinds of paper flowers and fabric flowers that I've made. This is a basket. It's got a tin. This is my steampunk hat. Goes to my costume. Here are just a couple of books and a bunch of my favorite lace. I just kind of like to pet it now and then. Okay, next to this wire unit is another wire kind of drawer system where I have a bunch of vintage postcards kind of stored all together. Again, a little bit steampunk aesthetic. Just some tassels, and on top, this is where my big shot lives. A little container full of old sewing notions. This is another wooden unit next to this system, and it just has all kinds of ephemera stored there. In these plastic drawers, this is where my stamps are, stamp pads, and all kinds of stamps. This top drawer is sorted into flowers. This is a drawer with all of like insects, butterflies, birds, animals. This is vintage. This is all my steampunk. These are texture stamps. These are alphabets, letters, quotes, stuff like that. This is a bottom drawer of miscellaneous large oversized stamps, and the same down here with some extra dies. This is where my napkins, a lot of my napkins are stored. These drawers hold ephemera that I have made and finished. Those are some empty tins at the moment. This was my pocket pouch, and these are now all of my pocket pouches. I have now so many templates for ideas that I had to subdivide them. These are tiny embellishments. So you can see I have tickets, I have postage stamps in this one, and the bottom one are small labels. These are the Victorian kinds postcards, but also just little, you know, the Victorian scraps that they used to save and put into scrapbooks and things. These are finished tags that I have made and are ready for journals. These are card and tag blanks. These are my block stamps, rubber stamps. I have a wild turkey feather. This is more nod to the steampunk parlor. Every parlor would have had ferns and plants. This is a fossil of a fish. I love rocks and collecting rocks and fossils. This is a snippet roll that I made a couple of years ago that has hung in that spot. Some of my lace, feathers, and some ribbons. I particularly love these paintings. This is an original painting, but it's unsigned. It was in the house of one of my husband's family. Before we go into the closet, I'll just go ahead and pan down. This is my gallery wall. I intend at some point to put some circle or curvy or oval shaped art of some kind up there. There's my little steampunk birds. Here is my steampunk doll. This is the alter ego of the mini-me in her steampunk costume. This is a journal that I made completely out of trash. And this one is a journal that I purchased from Jessica Rapp. As we go into the closet, you can see where my paper scraps trays live. I have this bookcase. These are books that are tear books for book page in the signatures. These are the 3 large paper scrap trays. And here's my other scrap trays. And on top, on the shelf, this is all of my wet mixed media supplies, the alcohol inks, gesso, there's some tape. These are all of my Reader's Digest book covers that are gutted and stacked, ready for journals. These plastic drawers just have all kinds of things in them. Ephemera, stationery, notepads, postcards, greeting cards. I do have some drawers that are sorted into themes. For instance, the bright boho stuff, I've just kind of kept them sorted for boho journals. These are 2 steampunk drawers with things that just have ended up getting divided out, ready for steampunk. These are smaller paper pads. Here are my stencils. These are graphic type stencils. These are image type stencils, like of butterflies or flowers. I have doilies. I have cardboard, and on and on. These drawers just help me sort some of my supplies. On this left side, I have a couple more snippets. These are some wallpapers that Mama Juju sent me. I love them. I just have them hanging there. Don't want to use them yet, but I don't have very many wallpapers. These are the only samples that I have. I have some strips in another drawer. These are my just acrylic paint the craft paint that I use. And here are more dies that I have on magnetic sheets hung there on the wall with those cookie sheets. And these are all of my oversized papers and things that, you know, are difficult to store. This is where I keep my Tyvek envelopes. There are some file folders, some paper sacks, the chipboard, a map. This is recycled cardboard, recycled paper. These papers are just oversized and can't be fit anywhere else, so that's where they live. So coming out of the closet, this is a large wooden cabinet. I'm going to paint this one also someday. This is where I store all of my 12 by 12 designer papers. These are the pads that I use when I try to harvest for signatures. So I won't go into those because you all have these too. One pad of Tim Holtz paper. It's pretty pricey, so I don't have many. That's where I get paper for signatures. This, because I have decluttered, is an empty drawer. Not sure what I will put in there, but the bottom cupboard, see if I can get down here on the floor practically. This is where I store pre-sorted papers for journals that I want to make. I'm going to make this journal pretty soon, I think. It has a cover in there, and I've just started collecting papers for it. It's going to be a spring botanical journal, and there's just others unfinished. On this side, you can see the bottom holds all the Halloween stuff. I don't really do seasonal journals much anymore, but I do save items for Halloween and Christmas. These two boxes are Christmas. So you can see that I have plenty of plans, lots of plans, like we all do. And then in front of that, this is also pretty new to the studio. I mentioned that I need horizontal surfaces. So I put together this large rolling cart, and this is heavy duty. So this cart just lives in front of that paper cabinet, and it rolls away easily when I want to get into the paper. But this is what I'm using to organize all of my vintage ephemera right now. So the job that it plays in my studio is for pocket stuffing. Once I get a journal finished, all the pockets and tuck spots and belly bands are empty and need to be filled. And that's why I have vintage ephemera, really, is to put into pockets. And I will eventually get a cover, a top, to make it easier to use this as a horizontal surface. But I have, you can see that I have trays. Again, kind of like what I have my paper scraps sorted into. But in this case, I have just used those paper sorter trays that, that fit together. I have 2 of them that I just got on Amazon, and I got them this black mesh wire, and they have wooden bottoms, and that holds these cardboard trays, the same food trays that I use for the paper scraps. They hold the same size, and I've just spray painted and attach these little label holders. These are just regular small pieces that I could stuff into a pocket. Vintage postcard, some vintage receipts. So I have extra small, small, medium, medium large, I have large, and then I have extra large. It doesn't really matter to me what these things are. It just gets stuffed in a pocket. These extra large ones might be large enough that they would get folded into the journal as a short. These are large enough for the biggest pockets. Maybe I need to fold it, but this is where I would come to look for large ephemera for pockets. The largest vintage ephemera pieces are over here on these paper sorters. So I have just so many different things. There's a couple of different books. Yeah, vintage receipts. My railroad ephemera. All of the papers that came to me in this batch. So that's my vintage ephemera. It's how I sort it. I store it and use it according to the job it does, which is to stuff pockets. Down here is just an extra shelf. I have my new tools that I got for Christmas. My husband gave me my own tools so that I didn't have to borrow his. And then these are just 2 extra tubs of sorted paper for kits and other journals. This blue one is Steampunk and the other is just regular vintage. The thing that I like most about this cart is I have a little clipboard hanging on the side that kind of gives me my plans for the next video or my workflow for the journal that I'm working on. And the other thing I like best is this just rolls really easily, so I can get into the cabinet, I can pull it over near the desk, and then I can just easily push it back where it goes. Yep, I really like that. It's going to help me. Just outside the studio, I have this industrial shelving unit, and this is just for additional storage. I keep large pieces of fabric, the flat lace, and other crafting supplies. So this is not just junk journal stuff. There are other things that are stored here. This is my crochet bag. But I do have some additional junk journal supplies. Those are upholstery samples. This box holds all of my napkins for napkin decoupage. And you can see the reason why I don't like storage with lids, because I just end up putting stuff on top, thinking that I'll get to it, put it away later. These are lace pieces. These are my aprons on the left. This is fabric. That's my Etsy store. That's where the journals are when I get them completed and listed on Etsy. They stay there until they sell, which is pretty quickly, thanks to you all. I have some yarn in that bag. I have some seam binding ribbon here. And these are fiber pieces. There's some more fiber stored up in there. This is all the felt. This is stuff that I intend to use for snippet rolls, colored lace and trim, and fabric for covers. Naturally, I always have a box with things that need to be put away. Things that I have purchased and need to find their home, and I just don't get around to it. This stuff over here is on the left. Those are boxes that are decluttering things from other parts of the house that my husband and I are working on. We currently are working on getting rid of a lot of our books. I know, it's surprising, isn't it? But, you know, we have so many books in this house that we just can't keep them all. So that's what we're working on right at the moment, is decluttering some other things. So good for us, right? This studio is honestly much more than a place to work now. It's like a sanctuary to me. It reminds me of why I love to create. My hope is that this studio tour can inspire you to make some small changes in where you create. Add some things that you love, some art that inspires you. I'd love to hear if you've made those changes already to your space. Let me know in the comments, if you would, those things that maybe resonated most with you. And if you've enjoyed this tour, will you give the video a like? That really helps my channel. Until next time, happy crafting.